This is 5 Live.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Mike. It's 5 Live on AM and FM on stations around the UK. I'm Rod Sharp, and we're up all night. And as previously advertised, this hour is dominated by a real horse race, the Melbourne Cup. What a glorious, glorious experience this is going to be. It always is. It's a highlight of our up all night year, when we can go and breathe in that nice warm air and find out which raider has done it this, or maybe not. In just a moment, Jim McGrath can tell us. Later on in this hour, we'll be coming back to this election in Washington for one last time, as we talk about the single issues that are getting people going, and one single issue in particular, which has to do with that rather perplexing field, animal rights. And now it's time to go to Flemington. Hooray, hooray. Jim McGrath is going to be with us. He's going to give us a commentary on this year's Melbourne Cup, in which, Jim, I learn that Media Puzzle and Distinctly Secret are going off as the favourites.
Well, they were a few minutes ago, Rod, but that's changed significantly as the part owner of Vinnie Rowe, Mr. Mike Watt, who's a New Zealander by birth. He spent a lot of time in Australia. He now resides in London. And he has backed, he's gone into the ring, or sent his men into the ring, and he's backed Vinnie Rowe to win the equivalent of around 4 million Australian dollars. It's an enormous plunge, and that's sent Vinnie Rowe into favouritism as we speak. There's been a couple of other news items here. Karen McAvoy had a very heavy fall earlier in the day, but he's now okay to ride Beekeeper. He's a little bit bruised, but he's not going to miss this mount at all. And the Media Puzzle, it appears that the ground has come right for Media Puzzle, because although it's officially good, those that have walked the track say that it's very much on the far side. In fact, by British standards, by European standards, it could almost be hard, which is a little bit unfortunate, because this looked like it was going to be the biggest European challenge. It could still well be, of course, 7 representing Europe. Out of the 23 runners, and let's go through them now. Number 1 is Vinnie Rowe from the Dermot Wells stable. Pat Smullen in the saddle. Number 2, Jardine's Lookout. Alan Jarvis from England. The trainer, Paddy Payne, takes the ride. 3, Dahlia Paw. Stout, his first runner in Australia. Michael Cannan, the Melbourne Cup winning jockey, in the saddle. 4 is Sam Mason, trained now by Tony McAvoy down here at Flemington, formerly trained in England by Henry Cecil, and Stephen Arnold takes the ride. 5, Helene Vitality from Hong Kong. David Hayes, the trainer. Gerald Mosse in the saddle. 6 is Hatharana, one of 3 Godolphins, trained by Syed bin Sarur. Richard Hills taking the ride. 7 is Freemason from John Hawkes' stable. Darren Gauci aboard. Take out number 8, Maguire, a non-runner. 9 is Pugin, another Godolphin representative. Frankie Dettori. Number 10 is Rain Gauge, trained by George Hanlon. 84-year-old George seeking his 4th win in the race. Greg Charles takes the ride. 11, Beekeeper, trained by Syed bin Sarur. The 3rd of the Godolphin entries, Karen McAvoy, who won the race on Brew not that long ago. 12 is County Tyrone, trained by Max Lees, ridden by Jimmy Cassidy, the pumper. Number 13 is Hale, trained by Bruce Marsh, who as a jockey rode the winner here in 1971, Silver Knight. And Noel Harris, who's now a real veteran, he's in the saddle. 14, Media Puzzle, Damien Oliver, who's come back to ride here after the tragedy that hit his family last week. He lost his brother in a race fall. He's riding today. The funeral's tomorrow. Dermot Wells, 2nd runner in the race today. 15 is Mr. Prudent, another one for George Hanlon. Corey Brown in the saddle. 16, Fantastic, Glenn Boss taking the ride. That's trained by David Hall. 17 is Prized Gem, trained in New Zealand by Murray Baker, one of 5 New Zealanders. Michael Rodd, the leading apprentice, is taking them out. Number 18, Victory Smile, another New Zealander, Danny Beasley. 19, Cyclades, a Wellington Cup winner. Cindy Evans, the trainer. Scott Seamer, who won the race last year, is aboard. Number 20 is Distinctly Secret, who's been back very heavily here. Stephen King taking the ride. Mark Walker from New Zealand, the trainer. 21 is Grey Song, trained in Victoria by Tommy Hughes. Chris Muntz aboard. Number 22 is Thong Classic. Pat Carey, the trainer, Brett Pebble, the rider, Moonee Valley Cup winner, Thong Classic. 23, Miss Malice, who's representing the Cup's king, Bart Cummings, who's looking for another big win in this race. Miss Malice was second in the Saab on Saturday, and will be the Cummings representative here. Craig Newitt, 17-year-old top Victorian apprentice, takes the ride. And finally, number 24, Requiem, wearing the Robert Sangster colours. Tony McAvoy, the trainer, and Craig Williams, so well known in Britain, is taking the ride. He won this race, Requiem. He won the Saab Quality at Flemington only 3 days ago. So they're the 23 runners in the race. They're moving in. Let's check the betting now. And I welcome to the microphone that betting guru of the BBC, Angus Loughran.
Yes, good morning, Jim. Good afternoon here from Melbourne, and good morning to you at home. Vinnie Rowe is the favourite for the Melbourne Cup as they start the loading up process at 5-1, with Media Puzzle second favourite at 11-2. Distinctly Secret, best back here in the last few days, is a 6-1 chance, but in the last few minutes, the money has come in for Pugin and for Beekeeper. Pugin, who's touched at 10-1 on the track, is 15-2 from 10. Beekeeper is 8-1 from 10-1. It's a big price. The rest, of the rest, there have been one or two outsiders back and one or two ignored in the betting, particularly Pata Anna, who was the easy-to-back outsider of the Godolphin contingent. But it's Vinnie Rowe. The money's been for that one as they're loading up fairly quickly for the Melbourne Cup.
Yes, about half the field in position so far. Vinnie Rowe moving forward. County Tyrone, a Queensland Derby winner, is going forward into the stalls now. They have about half a mile to the first turn, but still in a 23-runner race, the draw is important. They don't want to be drawn too wide. Jardine's Lookout, Paddy Payne taking the ride here. A Goodwood Cup winner, Jardine's Lookout, and he'll start from barrier or stall number 19.
Just one factor, Jim, the horse that I was mentioning that's been very well backed, Distinctly Secret. Well, it's bad news if you back this one, because there's only one barrier that hasn't produced a winner of this race, and that's number 18, and Distinctly Secret has been drawn 18 today.
Requiem goes forward in the Robert Sangster colours, and standing well back with one of the Monty Roberts style blankets on is Sand Mason, who won at Royal Ascot a couple of years ago. He won the Hardwick Stakes there. Going forward is Thorn Classic on the outside. Sand Mason links up. This leaves Prize Gem to take his position in the stalls. There is an enormous crowd here. I'd say it's well over the 100,000. It could even be 110 or more. It's a beautiful day weather-wise. The forecast was for light rain, but we haven't seen any. Grey Song goes in. They're just about ready. Prize Gem, I think, will be the last to join them. Prize Gem, who will go forward into the extreme outside stall, number 24. And you'll hear an enormous roar as the field is set for the race that stops a nation. A 2-mile handicap, but one of the great Australian sporting prizes. One of the great world sporting prizes. They're off and running. The 23 runners leave the gates for the 2002 Tui's New Melbourne Cup. And down near the inside, Dahlia Poor, the Coronation Cup winner, goes straight into the lead. Right up there as well, too, in the early stages, Requiem, who's crossing over from out wide. Media Puzzle has got a very handy position. Victory Smile not that far away. County Tyrone in behind them, and Cyclades getting up on the fence. Hatharana is trapped very wide on the track and being trapped by Pugin as they go up towards the judge the first time. Vinnie Rowe settling in about 8th position. Behind them is Distinctly Secret. Out wide a Beekeeper. Followed then next in the field by Helene Vitality. And back on the inside of runners, Mr. Prudent. Followed then by Grey Song as they race up with a circuit to go. Further back then in the field then is Thong Classic. Followed by Miss Malice. Jardine's Lookout takes a rearward position in company there with Hale as they swing past the judge now, just under a circuit to go. Further back in the field then is Prize Gem, followed by Rain Gauge, and Freemason whips them in as they go out of the straight now in the 2002 Melbourne Cup. A mile and a quarter left to go, and Sand Mason gets the lead here. The former Hardwick Stakes winner leads by a length to on the outside Hatharana, 2 lengths away Pugin going up into third. On the inside then Dahlia Poor in fourth, so it's a European 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment. They're followed by Requiem, followed next in the field by Helene Vitality, and then on the inside of runners Cyclades. Then out wider as County Tyrone. Vinnie Rowe goes trapped wide, followed then by Victory Smile. 2 lengths further back then is Media Puzzle. On the inside of runners is Pentastic, followed then by Beekeeper. Back in the field too at this stage is Mr. Prudent as they continue their journey down the back. Distinctly Secret is well out of it. Followed then at this stage on the outside, going forward now by Grey Song, just being headed by Thong Classic. Well back in the field then is Jardine's Lookout as they now start to swing left-handed sharply past the 7, and Hatharana has gone up to take it up now from San Mason. Fujin settling in 3rd position, followed by Helene Vitality as they race down past the 1,000-metre mark now, and Hatharana for Godolphin is out in front, leading and setting a good pace. They're going to really try and test them here, the European stayers. In 2nd is San Mason. Fujin's had a good run in 3rd, and now Vinnie Rowe is starting to loom up in 4th. Behind them is Dahliapour, followed by Helene Vitality. Behind them is County Tyrone and Requiem, and just going a little bit wide there as he pulls off the inside is Fujin. Vinnie Rowe is moving up very stylishly on a tight rein, and Fujin is being hard ridden around the corner, and it's Hatharana being tackled by Vinnie Rowe. Out wider than Media Puzzle. It's a 1-2 for Ireland at the moment. Here comes Beekeeper, and behind them is Fantastic, but Damien Oliver on Media Puzzle ranges up to Vinnie Rowe. He takes it up now. Distinctly Secret is running on well with just over a furlong to go, but Media Puzzle has gone 2 lengths in front for Ireland, and Damien Oliver, it's the Dermot well-trained Media Puzzle in front and is going to win the Melbourne Cup. Drawing away, wins it by 3 or 4 lengths. Mr. Prudent gets 2nd, Beekeeper 3rd, Vinnie Rowe a gallant 4th, followed then by, just behind them, Fantastic. Back in the field, Distinctly Secret, then Jardine's Lookout, Rain Gauge. Behind them is Freemason, in company there with Miss Meliss and County Tyrone. Further back, Prize Gem from Grey Song, then Thong Classic. Well back in the field, Dahliapour. I'm looking back there to see Hale, and further back behind them, the Godolphin runners finishing well back. Fujin and also Requiem is back there, so too is Hatharana. But the winner is the Dermot Weld-trained Media Puzzle, number 14, ridden by Damien Oliver. What an emotional victory it is for him after losing his brother Jason, who died from injuries suffered in a fall last week in Perth. Damien Oliver said he would ride on Derby Day and Cup Day, and he'll be returning to Perth tomorrow, and he has dedicated this win to his brother. And as he crosses the line in the replay, we can see he's wearing his brother Jason's breeches. Let's check the 1, 2, 3, 4 in the Melbourne Cup. First, number 14, which is Media Puzzle, ridden by Damien Oliver and trained in Ireland by Dermot Weld. Second, number 15, Mr. Prudent, trained by 84-year-old George Hanlon, ridden by Corey Brown. Third is number 11, Beekeeper. The best of the Godolphin entries, owned by Godolphin, trained by Syed Bin Surur, ridden by Karen McAvoy. Fourth, number 1, Vinnie Rowe, trained by Dermot Weld, a 1-4 for him, ridden by Pat Smullen. And fifth is number 16, which is Pentastic, trained by David Hall and ridden by Glenn Boss.
This has got to be one of the great sports stories, let alone one of the great racing stories, Jim. It's a really emotion-packed Melbourne. We've been lucky enough to see sporting events around the world, both of us, but I think you'll struggle to think a better story. For me, this is almost like the equivalent at home of Aldenidi's Grand National success. I think for the nation, it'll mean as much. It's been the talk of all the newspapers, not just the back pages, the front pages. It's been all the telecasts as well. And, well, you've covered many big events, Jim, but I would say this has got to be one of the big stories that Australia has had for many years.
It has to be. As he crossed the line, and what a poignant moment for his family. Damien Oliver, who's the champion jockey here in Melbourne, undisputed champion, and in Australia. And as he crossed the line, he looked up to the skies and waved his whip. And there'll be many people choking here as he comes back to the winner's enclosure. It is one of those moments when you consider that Damien Oliver's father, Ray Oliver, who was a top jockey in Perth, he died as a result of injuries on the racetrack. His brother died in a similar fashion some 30 years later. And here he is coming back. This is his first winner, the first winner that he's ridden since the death of his brother. And what a story it is. It will be, this race is covered everywhere in every media possible. And this will be, there'll be pages and pages and hours dedicated to this.
And he's got to go now from the high of winning the Melbourne Cup to the low of his brother's funeral. Quite extraordinary.
It is indeed. And there'll be very few jockeys in the ranks tomorrow at Kyneton, which is one of the country cups here, the Kyneton Cup, because they'll all be going to Perth, which is the other side of this great continent here, about a 4-hour plane trip, and they'll be going to the funeral tomorrow. 3:16.9 the time recorded, which is incredibly fast. 3:16.9, 0.97 to be
Jim, there's going to be a lot of people looking at this result. It's been a big plunge in the week, but media puzzled. Dermot Wells pulled off another fantastic training performance, but there are a lot of European form judges, and they'll be saying it was a 20-to-1 chance before it came to Australia, but significantly had a prep race and won the Geelong Cup.
Yeah, a good win in the Geelong Cup. It's wouldn't be the greatest prize, but it is a significant prize. I think also, Angus, the fact is that this horse likes lightning fast ground, and that's exactly what he got today, and it has it has inconvenienced a lot of runners.
Great training performance. First and fourth, Vinnie Rowe finishing in fourth place, which is an advantage if you backed it at home, because here in Australia they don't pay on fourth place, but they will do if you backed it at home. But there's a tremendous ovation now.
Here he comes, Damien Oliver, coming back to the winner's enclosure, and here at Flemington, in the crowd, there's a long walkway. It must be the best part of a furlong. Oh, just as he comes in, Media Puzzle has got rid of Damien Oliver. He's quickly back in the saddle, though, no harm done. And here he comes up this walkway, which is a good 200 yards, and he swings left-handed then into the winner's enclosure. There are thousands and thousands of people here roaring their appreciation of Australia's best-known, highest-profile jockey. We've seen him in England as well. He rode a winner at Ascot last year at the Shergar Cup. And I can see the Irish flag being carried behind Media Puzzle. What a great triumph for Dermot Wells, who all week has been the centre of attention. He's been fielding questions about his other runner, Vinnie Rowe, who was sensationally backed at the last minute there by part owner Mike Watt being one of them, leading a plunge there. And despite the fact, Angus, that horse came around the turn, seeming to be swinging double, Vinnie Rowe, when they came to the straight, this horse, Media Puzzle, lengthened and sprinted away.
I think the ground was the key there, because you summed it up perfectly. It likes fast ground, but I mean, there'll be a lot of emotional scenes. I mean, this is a former winner of the Ulster Derby, and you've got to think back to vintage crop success. Well, obviously the Vinnie Rowe was a gamble, but Media Puzzle is really a massive international sports story in Ireland, and very much part of the success here.
And we also have to say it's the second time that Dr. Michael Smurford has won this race, and he hasn't been here for either of those victories. In fact, I was talking to a couple of his friends here, Dr. Smurford's friends. Oh, hello, Damien Oliver has done a Frankie Dettori. He's done a flying dismount, not quite as stylish as we've seen Frankie do, but effective just the same. Hugs all round as he comes in. And Dermot Wells to train in Ireland and have two winners of this particular race is absolutely incredible. This horse was fourth in the ledger at Doncaster. As a 4-year-old, he went wrong. He suffered a broken pelvis. He was able to come back after that, but there was nothing in his form there coming out here, Angus, to suggest that he was going to take on the high profile that he has. No,
you were right. It was 20-to-1 before he won this Geelong Cup, and then he's been a springer in the betting, though. But just looking at the scenes here, how will the Australians take this, Jim? Because it's an international winner, but it's not really in so many ways. Damien Oliver's their man. I mean, they're going to react in a very positive way for this. In a way, it's the perfect result for European horses to come and again. No one will say, well, the Europeans have won, they'll be delighted with this result here.
It's the perfect result for the race, to be honest, Angus, because Australia's hero, jockey hero, has won the race on an Irish-trained horse, and an Irishman who, of course, is almost an honorary Australian. Here he can even recite poems by Banjo Patterson, one of our great poets out here in Australia. So I'd have to say that Dermot Weld probably qualifies for an Aussie passport after that.
He certainly will. The winner incidentally has been returned at 11-2. The second, Mr. Prudent, big run for that one, a 40-1 outsider. Beekeeper ran a massive race and returned 8-1. And Vinnie Rowe, well, that one was 5-1 and ended up, I think, unconfirmed, but I'm pretty sure it was going to start as favourite, 5-1 favourite. But Media Puzzle, everyone was talking about it. It was the big springer in the market. Everyone, thinking of Damien Oliver, the story, it couldn't happen, could it? But sport, well, it throws up some amazing situations, some amazing stories, and this will be a story that will be told by many. You couldn't have written a film. The script writers would love this, wouldn't they?
No, they absolutely would. Let's go through some of the Europeans here. Angus, first of all, Vinnie Rowe, what did you think of his performance?
Well, I mean, as he said, coming into the home straight, looked all over the winner, but they began to crowd up there, and I just think that the ground found Vinnie Rowe up when it came down to the last furlong. We had a great view here, about 100 metres from home, but Vinnie Rowe never looked like he was going to get any better than fourth place, and in the end, this was a horse that won decisively.
What about Daliapur? He was up there for a good part of the way. Mick Cannan, who drew stall number 1, he was anxious to get him right up there, and he was able to do that. He was in the first 4 with a circuit to go.
Yeah, but you knew that the lightning was on the wall. I think the interesting tactics of this race developed when Hatterana went on with Richard Hills. I mean, it was a commitment that caught Daliapur hot-footed, and in the end, it was one that was... he was thinking back to last year, of course. Remember, the Give the Slip was Richard Hills' mount that drew a lot of criticism when it came over on the far side on rain, softened ground, when all the other jockeys came to the near side. But I think good run. There'll be no real excuses for any of the others. At the end of the day, though, it's all about Media Puzzle. Australians particularly don't remember runners-up. They will not be celebrating. We're just seeing the emotional scenes again of one of the stories, and you were so right about the attire being worn by the jockey. That really was added up to it when we seen the close-up replay.
Yeah, over here they have the jockeys' names printed on their breeches right down their round about the thigh area, and instead of D. Oliver, it was J. Oliver, which were his brother's riding breeches. Let's look at a couple of the others. The run here of, Jardine's Lookout, he ran on very strongly at the end, but he was never going to be a factor at all. What about the Godolphin horses?
Well, again, they just didn't seem to get home this time. Well, Beekeeper, now, Beekeeper is a horse that will come again. I would imagine that there'll be encouragement for Beekeeper supporters in what Mr. Prudent has done. Last year, Mr. Prudent ran no sort of race when finishing 17 lengths behind Ethereal. Was going to finish second. I think we're going to see Beekeeper in this race again, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if this is the horse that wins the race for Godolphin in the years to come. Keep a close eye on Beekeeper, but it's all about Dermot Weld. It's all about Media Puzzle, and particularly, it's all about the Oliver family.
Well, let's check the 1, 2, 3 once again. First is number 14, Media Puzzle, ridden by Damien Oliver and trained in Ireland by Dermot Weld. Second, number 15, Mr. Prudent, ridden by Corey Brown and trained by 84-year-old George Hanlon. Third, number 11, that's Beekeeper for Godolphin and Syed Bin Sarur, ridden by Karen McAvoy. And fourth, number 1, Vinnie Rowe. We've seen an epic running of the Melbourne Cup here at Flemington this afternoon, a huge crowd and a very, very emotional victory.
Jim, thank you very, very much indeed. And it'll be like Cheltenham there right now, is it?
Well, I'd say it's the nearest Australia will come to Cheltenham. The cheering and the emotion that's pouring out here. It's a victory that really does mean something to this nation, particularly at this time. I think Australians have come together in a very, very good way after the tragedy that's hit the country in the last in the last month or so with Bali, and it was very noticeable today that when they played the national anthem, Vance Australia Fair, that to a man everybody stood up, and also to a man they all sang.
That's good to know. By the way, remind me again, what does Media Puzzle actually take home? What do the connections of Media Puzzle win for winning the Melbourne Cup?
Of course, it all depends on which conversion rate you use, but it is 2.4 million Aussie dollars, and at the minute that equates to well, just under £1 million. Dr. Michael Smurford, the owner, he doesn't really need that type of money, but I think he'll be kicking himself a little bit this morning when he finds the result, because he fed all the information into a computer, and the computer came out with the answer that Pugin was going to win the race. So he decided, well, he thought he wouldn't make the trip to Australia, stayed home. He's had a second Melbourne Cup win, and he's missed the second one.
Tim McGrath and Flemington, thank you very much indeed. Now, some weather for everybody in Britain from Everton Fox.
Thanks very much and good morning. I'll start today's forecast with Scotland and Northern Ireland. Here it'll be a cold, dry start with any mist or fog, a little slow to clear, but I think Scotland will probably have the brightest start to the day with long sunny periods during the afternoon.
280 for